here to remind us to record, so I'm glad you
Now
remembered.
I'm remembering, taking more
Yeah,
responsibility.
there you go.
Saturn is.
You're channeling Sean. Yeah.
I'm channeling Saturn. Saturn has really been apparent in my life. I had a really profound experience last night. I won't go into it unless you want to know, but I want to ask you a question first.
Yeah.
Which part of this entire game feels most energizing and feels most draining?
For me, it just depends on the day. What I'm beginning to see, because I just made a list before I got on this call with you of all of the different sort of cohorts or learnings or whatever I'm on currently. And it's like I'm doing this 30-day YouTube challenge with my YouTube coach, Maru. I'm doing this free online how to create your membership course with Stu McLaren. In the wings, I've bought but not done Nick Huno's 3-hour guidance course. I've got a Frank Sieben course. I did Hala Taha did a video, how to use Opus Clips in your business. And, she's the young entrepreneur person. Um, and so coming into this week, I was thinking I am way too overcommitted and way too splintered. But I started seeing today, as I was going through one of those, that no, it's all actually about creating this ecosystem, right? And it's all about, and that would have been my answer to your question, is the most draining thing would have been, oh my God, like today I read week 6 from your course. And it's all of this, I did 50 podcasts and I did this and I did that and I did that before I ever launched anything. And it was a $25,000 launch. Well, I'm looking at your list of stuff and that list looks like, well, that's going to take a fucking year, right?
Yeah, we're different types for sure.
And yeah, we are totally different types.
And that's okay.
And yeah, that's great. And so part of what being in these multiple things right now is doing for me is helping reinforce that, right? Helping reinforce that, okay, there's all this wisdom that I've chosen to sort of immerse myself in. And it's like diving in the deep end. And like I will spend weeks not looking at your stuff at all. I'll spend weeks not looking at somebody else's stuff at all or whatever. But now with the mindset that I have this week coming out of last week's craziness, I just approach it with the intention that it's going to be easy, right? So the question I keep asking myself is like when we decided on this podcast thing and it felt so right for me, I'm like, okay, now how do I not turn that into one more obligation that's going to freak me out?
Mhm.
Right. And so I just started asking myself in my meditations, show me how it can be easy. And like today in my meditation, I'm like, oh, because of what I read in your course, because of what I was reading or knew I needed to do in the YouTube course with Peru that I'm currently doing, I came up with the begin and because I read I saw this week's video on Stu McLaren's membership course. I'm like, he wants me to launch a membership. Well, it's a cohort, and it's exactly what you're talking about also in week 6. It's about how you create your offers and then you make an ask or you give, and then make an ask and then give, give, right? So you build up that goodwill curve, right? And it's all sort of came to me about what this initial thing could be. And what that does is it helps me, because here's where I get stuck. The other part that's the least energizing for me is when I feel like I have to map out what the steps are of the process that I'm bringing to people. And I recognize that that's really, really important. But the part of it that's frustrating for me is the more I expand, the more those steps change, right?
Mhm.
And so that feels unstable to me, right? And I think what I need is somebody to tell me, well, of course they're going to change because you're expanding. And of course you're going to bring more subtlety to an earlier step because you're going to understand it better or whatever. People don't care. People don't need it to be the same thing today as it was yesterday. In fact, people appreciate it expanding as I expand, right? But to me, it feels like, oh, I'm not doing it right because I didn't figure it out to start with. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Did I even answer your question?
Yeah, I'm picking up on all of it. I think it's great. I was going to offer something with all the courses and everything and all the reading. The frame that has served me very well has been don't read anything in anybody's course until you're doing something and a problem presents itself. So it's like you're just going about your entire flow, things are just happening and you get the idea. Just as an example, I'm going to launch a cohort. Okay, now that I'm going to take action on this thing and I run up against the problem of how do I create an email sequence or email strategy, cool, now I can search for that direct information in that course. Because I think we have this sunk cost fallacy in our psychology. It's like
Yeah.
I bought this, so I have to read it all,
Yeah.
but not really. Honestly, the information is kind of irrelevant. It can be relevant, but it's mostly the decision to buy something is what precedes the change.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. I know that the action of investing in myself through somebody else's work is really the thing that's needed, right? So my best example of that is when I was first starting out and I was still stuck in the job that I had and just trying to figure out really how to monetize my training as a life coach. I bought a course by a woman named Stacey Bayman, who's really, really big in the life coaching sales department, right? And so it's a $2,000 course on how to sell yourself as a life coach. And it comes down to three things. Tell them your name, tell them what it is you do, and tell them you can help them.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it is. It's what people are spending $2,000 to be in her ongoing cohort, like with a group of other people who feel so alone trying to do this stuff, right? You know?
Mm-hmm.
And so I got the message. And of course, there's tons and tons and tons and tons of coursework that could be done to help nail down all of the specifics around that. But my energy is, oh, that's all I need to know from this. I just got my $2,000 worth because in any situation now, I can say to anybody, hey, I'm Dave. You know, and what I do is I help people get out of whatever rut they're in and become really as magnificent as they can possibly be. And that sounds like exactly what it is you are looking for. Let me know if you want me to help, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's super simple. But when I then try to say, here's step one of what you do, right? So that's where it gets messy for me, but I've got some clarity on at least what the step one is today that feels like something I can start to build the entire ecosystem. You know, like, I don't know if I'm making any sense, but because I'm going in a bunch of different directions here, but I recognize that it's all about creating containers
Mm-hmm.
and allowing people to opt into those containers. And some of them are going to be low friction, free. Some of them are going to be higher friction, right? Free, just like you talk about in week 6, right? So you kind of got this thing where you're trying to meet the person where they are. And, you know, I want to be able to create that system, that ecosystem, so that if it's somebody who's just like, oh, I've talked about this before in here. Oh, I'm really unhappy with my life. I don't know what to do. And then they find me and it resonates. They've got a way to give me their email address and get some really great free value. Whereas if it's, you know, Tim Cook or somebody who's saying, well, I've wasted my life here making a lot of money at Apple. And now I really want to actualize my own sort of divine self. Dave is the guy who I've heard can do that for me. I'm going to give him a call, right? So it's like that entire thing.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is I want it today, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's about how do I prioritize the pieces so that I can uh, pay my mortgage and also build this value ladder, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So two things are coming up. One is I have an intuition that the main thing is you just have to somehow start talking to more people.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel that your creativity, your sacral chakra activates when you do readings.
It's
That's
exactly
what
right.
you love.
Yeah.
And so that's great. So now how do we do more readings for people? And then how do we strategically cross multiply those readings? That's where my head is at. So I'm going to say that again. Say you start doing like little free readings for people. That's fine, but one thing is recorded and then it's sent and then it's done.
Yeah.
How can we then leverage that action
Yeah.
of, okay, I'm going to do a free reading. Would you be open to do a podcast with me so I can post it? Because I'm also looking at your chart right now. This is why I kind of like this one-on-one. It's very fun. And maybe it'll be valuable for people to see as well. But okay,
Yeah.
I'm looking at your Jupiter, and we could look at your Vedic too. I think it could be valuable to look at your Vedic chart. Have you ever looked at your Vedic chart?
Never.
Okay, I think let's do it, but after this.
Okay.
Jupiter is the planet of luck, abundance, wisdom, good fortune. Scorpio is the sign of depth.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And sort of like the hidden,
the hidden, revealing the hidden,
yeah, what's
right?
underneath. Yeah.
Which that exactly is what you're doing when you're reading for people. You're
Yeah.
revealing what's beneath the surface. And so
Yeah.
now how do we get people to see that and feel that? Because it's very tough on social media when we're just like writing little posts. But if you have your YouTube videos will become your greatest, because this call is about marketing. Your YouTube videos are going to become your greatest marketing asset,
Yeah.
especially when it's one-on-one people.
Yeah.
Now, I also wanted to ask, how old are you again?
66.
Okay, so you're past the Saturn return. I thought maybe you were approaching the second Saturn return, but I think
No,
this is really
it'll be a while, and then I'll have my third Saturn return. My second Saturn return was the worst time of my life. So
oh
yeah.
no,
Yeah.
oh no. Well, good thing we're out of it now.
Yeah.
Let me try to let me pull up your Vedic chart, and maybe it can give us some insights as well into just this, into yourself and the creative process and how to make it as simple as possible.
Yeah. Well, something that was suggested to me yesterday was, with each one of the things, I didn't do this with you because we were doing just sort of hey, bud, can you take a look at my gene keys and give me some info? But, what I do for anybody who comes in through the system, part of what they get through the general mapping method, part of what they get is for every single one of their gene key readings, they get at least 3 daily habits that they can take on,
Mm-hmm.
right? With the description of the 5 steps for each of those habits. And I was talking to somebody who was like, these habits are gold. Like, you need this. If you could compile all of these habits into like a book and publish it. So like, I see what you're saying about leverage here, right? It's like record the song once and sell it 10 million times if you're a singer, right? So,
Right.
but how do we do that with like the information is so individual, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I hear you, and I resonate. And it's like, yeah, what you individually tell me will not necessarily be applicable to another, but the depth at which I change is
Yeah.
the depth that other people will see that they can too.
Yeah. Yeah.
But,
Yeah. Yeah.
this is very interesting already. So, I mean, you already know a bit about Western, so that's great. So you can kind of pattern match and make the translations. But Vedic, and I don't want to go into a tangent into all like Western versus Vedic, but
Yeah.
Western is, from my research and understanding now, is personality based, world based. Vedic is soul based. It's
Oh,
cosmic. It's universal. It's much more karmic and destiny oriented because it
it's
accounts for the wobble of the planets.
it's just like human design then, because you've got the two sides of the human design where your planets are, and one of them is how people perceive you in the world, right?
Mhm.
Personality, and the other one is how you're actually soul aligned.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So you still have a lot of Sagittarius and Scorpio energy, but you now have more Leo Aries.
Mhm. Interesting.
This should start to just pop little insights and stuff, but your core frequency is Scorpio here, which we just talked about. And Scorpio right now is super prevalent. Like this is
Yeah.
a deep energy right now.
Yeah.
I'm thinking like creativity and drive and luck abundance. So it's Libra here. Okay, this is cool. I think that balance, harmony, right? Fairness, but also Libra is about aesthetics. And I think everything you've created with the website and making it look beautiful, that's going to come into play too.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Like I showed that to somebody the other day and they literally gasped.
Hmm.
They're like, this is so you. And your
Right.
old one wasn't you at all.
That's beautiful. And then Aries,
Hmm.
all about bold action
Hmm. But still chill because it's retrograde, right?
because there's, oh, interesting. Yeah. Okay. I don't know as much about retrograde, but from my current understanding, that means that there's like karma there. Like there's a resistance there. It's harder.
Yeah.
So it's harder
Yeah.
to tap into the energy.
Yeah. Action is harder. And yeah. And yeah, tapping into energy is harder. Yeah.
Mm.
Communication, with Mercury retrograde,
Hmm.
communication is
Mm.
hard for me in any way other than spoken, right?
Fine. Let's lean in.
Yeah.
I feel that these two, I'm feeling like a lot of activation. Mercury and Mars, okay, yeah, they're both retrograde. It's gonna take some fire to get into that energy. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
that's your soul's purpose in this lifetime, like to get really deep. Like this is deeper than
Yeah.
business.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, totally. Absolutely. I mean, I'm talking about like this is a worldwide movement of change towards humanity loving each other, right? I mean, that's what I'm trying to do here, right?
Yeah.
And I think that what you're saying makes so much sense around really having to tap into a way to get that fire. And the way I
I was
do
gonna ask
that is
that.
with somebody else, right? Is in communication with other people.
Yes.
That's where the fire comes from for me.
Big thing coming through, I think. How do you find the ability to get into that fire yourself without another?
Oh Lord. Well, I mean, for me, it's about finding the gentle version of what fire is, right? So for me, it's kind of about like, so a few years ago, I spent a week in Sedona and like I felt so energized just from being in the calm energy of that space, right? So it's about accessing the calm central energy fields as opposed to the go 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 fire energy fields, right? But there can be a calm fire, right?
Hmm.
Or am I making that up?
Yeah. What ignites the fire, and how can you tap into that every day?
Oh, it's the stillness and spaciousness that I do. It's the
Okay.
spaciousness practice is how I tap into it, because I mean, part of what I think I can start teaching people is that if you're living a life where you're unsatisfied and you're unhappy and you feel unsuccessful, but you're blaming outside forces, right? Then you're always just going to be in that downward spiral.
Hmm.
And that it takes, first of all, self awareness and then some sort of practices that then help you expand out of that blaming. But then what happens is, if you're spiritually and mentally used to just constantly not taking responsibility, the next thing that happens is you start to blame yourself. And that's where the spaciousness practice comes in, right? To get grounded and get spacious and have that energy. That's where the calm energy comes from for me, because the first thing I did when I realized that I was in this spiral was, oh, well, if it's not their fault, then it's got to be my fault, right? So the way I get out of that is to get into the positive aspect of spaciousness. Does that make
Hmm.
sense?
Hmm. Yeah, I'm with you. And I think it's going to be great to teach people. I want to know, how can we deepen into the fire? What's the next level? Or what's another aspect or element of your life that the spaciousness practice is there, but what
Hmm.
else?
Yeah, what could be the next step on that?
What's coming through for me, and it's something I'm learning in myself, is there's something about pushing through some type of a challenging workout to really activate that fire, because the fire is the deep masculine energy,
Hmm.
and it's
Yeah.
where your creativity is going to stem from, and it's where your luck is going to stem from, and it's going to be that energy that allows you to, because your actions will change if your frequency changes. Like if your frequency deepens into the masculine fire even more,
Hmm.
you're going to naturally start like being on more phone calls, talking to more people.
Hmm.
But then of course not overdoing it, but
Yeah, 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 yeah. No, 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 no. I know. I think maybe where that is a,
mm,
yeah, so maybe it is a physical embodiment of confidence, right? I mean, I'm a confident guy, but I'm not doing anything to embody confidence. Does that make sense? It's like when you said workout,
mhm.
I literally thought of, like, I've got a home gym, right? And what I use it for now is meditation and yoga. But I've got all the weights. I used to be a resistance training freak back in my 30s and 40s, right?
Mhm.
And so, I mean, if you're just literally talking about getting into the physical self in that masculine energy through literally resistance training, that is something that would be easy for me to add in if we think that that's where we go to deepen the fire.
I think there's something there. And I just looked this up to confirm what it meant, but Aries, you have Lilith in Aries too.
Okay.
And I'll share this tab. Aries is ruled by Mars, the planet of aggression, initiative, and warrior energy. If Lilith is placed here, it suggests a raw, untamed fire energy. So this is some pretty deep stuff.
Hmm. I'm here for it.
I appreciate it. It's fun too. Honestly, I'm a ton of Scorpio too in Vedic, so we resonate on this level too. Um, See, this is kind of, I feel like we're getting to something. We're getting to
Ooh,
some truth,
yeah.
right? It's like
Okay.
there's something to be said about channeling a deeper warrior energy,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because the masculine is all about building, and
Right. Yeah.
spaciousness can bring masculine energy, but I mean
But it's
ultimately
really
it's
about
always feminine.
receiving.
It's
Yeah.
being,
Yeah. It's
which is
really
great.
receiving. Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Well, and so that's good. That's really good because you said warrior, and there's an aspect of shamanic energy that is warrior energy.
Hmm.
And I'm really close to that. So I think it's just about like, it's almost like the image that came to my head is just take a step to the side of where I already am, and I'll access the masculine aspect all that stuff, right? You know, it's like, stop. For me, it stopped telling myself that um, there's no value in the masculine side,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because a lot of my messaging has been, don't be a hypermaniac, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the thought process inside me needs to be, okay, but there is something that is, there's something that is Libra. There's something that's balanced,
Mm-hmm.
right? There's something, and I need to find that balance, right? Because right now my scales are tipped, and if I can move more into being in both energies,
Mm-hmm.
that's where the magic could happen, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel something activating for sure. What does the sidestep look like?
I think it's kind of a this and that. It's kind of like what I was just saying about, right now I'm using my workout space for meditation and yoga, and I don't need to necessarily leave that behind, but I can add something more building energy into that, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so I have a lot of, for myself, not for others, but I have a lot of like yes, no, binary, black, white, fail, pass kind of energy in my thinking. And so, like, the what you're seeing happen out loud right now is, oh, but if I do this, then I can no longer do that. And that's not Libra at all,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I just need, the sidestep is, I keep one foot in the feminine fire
Mm-hmm.
and put another foot in the masculine fire and see what happens.
Mm-hmm. I'd be very curious because I mean we could talk about like marketing strategy and all that manifests on the surface, but like the truth is the transformation, the breakthrough is the internal transformation and breakthrough.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, and I think that so let's kind of rewind back to the beginning, and what I just thought is actually where I think we started this conversation, which is where I really step into that fire is when I'm in a conversation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I get that sacral energy going through being in that reading or that conversation, or just what we're doing now, or what I'll be doing on the podcast and all that kind of stuff. And what you're asking me to do is look for, how do I access that when I'm not in conversation, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so,
And that will
yeah,
lead to more conversation.
yeah. Well, it'll also, though, lead to less of me feeling like ecosystem,
Right.
figure out who your target market is. Like,
You don't have to do any of that shit.
why not?
Well, the ecosystem is maybe more nuanced,
Yeah.
but figuring out your target market, just planning all this. Let me see your chart again. There's a strong bias for action. And
Great.
you're going to learn through the actions as well, more than reading the course or anything. That's more, it's again, passive, active energy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, I see. So it's just like what you were saying before, which is when I get to a point where I need the information, then I can go find it in a course. But
Yes, there it is. Because your core frequency, I mean, we could look at I wonder if it had, okay, it does. So you're pretty balanced in terms of masculine energy, yin yang,
mhm,
because fire and earth are masculine, I believe, or
mhm.
is it air? Is
I don't
air
know.
feminine or masculine?
I think air is masculine, but I'm not sure.
Okay, so it's air and
Fire.
fire are masculine. So, anyways, yeah,
It's still pretty
um,
balanced, right?
it is. You're 7 masculine, 6
Yeah.
feminine. And then if we go here to your Western chart, it's still pretty balanced.
Yeah.
14, 13. Okay, great. Fine. But what I was getting to there, and the feminine passivity, receiving, being will naturally come when the masculine energy is done expressing itself.
Yeah. I mean, so let me just say what I thought you were going to say a minute ago, which is by being in action and by doing, then I'll understand more about what's needed,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's almost like by moving forward, which is the masculine energy piece, right? That's how I'll become in the knowing of what I need to then start to receive, which is the
Yes.
feminine piece, right? To keep it moving, right? It's almost
Yes.
like this, like DNA, like
Exactly.
spiral going up, right? And one side is masculine, and one side is feminine, yin yang.
Exactly. And even in like the microcosm of building business and taking courses, let's say, or the macrocosm of your whole life is like when you take the action, appropriate action, necessary action, you get to the point where it's just natural to then receive. And in
Yeah,
your life, you're in the masculine energy, and then it becomes worn out and tired, and then it's just natural to recede and retreat into the feminine.
so it's almost seasonal, like seasons. There was something that you just said. I don't know. It's just, I think it's about just being out and in life, being in life, right? Being engaged in it rather than, and this is, again, I can tie everything back to human design and the gene keys because it's the human design profile of 1-3 for me because it's the one energy that wants to just sit and learn and take courses and be in 17 different cohorts at the same time. But
Right.
it's the 3 that has to go out there and try things to see what fits, right?
Hmm.
And
There's the yin yang
my
too.
yeah, and my way of trying things is getting in a room with somebody, whether it's real or virtual, and talking it out, right? Whether it's doing their reading or saying, here's my idea for like a membership or whatever it is. That's kind of how I engage and how I activate. Now,
Hmm.
another way that I kind of activate, which I was doing earlier this year and I haven't been doing it, is I think I live like a 15-minute walk away from radio. And so like
Right.
every Monday, I would just walk over to radio, right? And just being in an environment that's more active, like, and I would have to not force myself, but if I wanted to get a coffee, I could get up off of my table, or I could change tables or, whatever. So there's other things like that, which is super different from going into my studio and laying down and meditating, right?
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. And that's pretty comfortable. Like that's enjoyable.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Super comfortable. Doesn't feel like a stretch at all, right? But it's much more active than my normal day-to-day experience because I'm not normally around people other than in these cohorts and stuff. Like
Hmm.
my husband and I both work from home. I've got my group of friends and we see each other at regular times. I see my family, right? But like I'm not in a workplace. I'm not on a football team. I'm not in a classroom, right? So I'm not
Hmm. Hmm.
around that kind of sacral stimulation.
Yeah. And I think that exactly ties into this point. It's how do we activate the masculine energy more outside of the context of business?
Yes. Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think you
Yeah.
hit
Yeah.
it on the
Yeah.
head with like community or like whatever it is, like some type of group workout. The thing that keeps popping in my head is hot yoga. Like that could be interesting too. But I I mean, does anything you were about to say something? Does anything come up?
What I was about to say is because getting access to that energy outside of business, then when I come back to work on my business, that energy's already here with
Hmm.
me, you know?
Hmm. Hmm.
And I can use it to do the thing like create the fucking ecosystem or,
Right.
whatever it
Right.
is, right? And
Because
I
the
can have
frequency precedes whatever actions
the
are going to
reality.
happen.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And while I do get insights from doing stuff like being in a meditation session and asking how can this be easy when I'm having all these challenges from all these different teachings I'm involved in and get really, really strong insights, there's it's like the energy depletes. Like I had to come back out of that meditation session this morning and just fill up all of my whiteboard with everything that I thought about, right? And everything that
Hmm.
came through. But I'll look at if I don't have an energy source to draw from, the next time I look at that, it
Yeah, you're
will
not going to want to
feel,
look at it.
yeah, and it'll feel really like I'll start to question, oh, well, that's not right, you
What
know?
would it be like to when the insights come? Because you going to that whiteboard and writing it down, that's the seed of the masculine energy. Because you're back doing insight
Yeah,
received.
yeah,
Now I'm writing it down doing. What
yeah.
would it look like to say, fuck all the work blocks, fuck all the schedules. The moment the insights happen on these are the things I'm going to do, in that moment, you capture the masculine energy and you keep riding that wave.
Well, that actually was my impulse with this today because what I could immediately see, and that vision has kind of now dimmed, but what I could immediately see is I could do a whole YouTube video series on just this one piece. I could do a really, really great thread on what this is, right? Like I see so many different ways it could be. I could create a really simple, low friction, free thing that talks
Mhm.
about this to
Here's the
get,
thing. This is the thing about the universe building and the ecosystem that I'm learning is it only can be built one piece by one piece. You can only put one YouTube video out at a time. You can only put one thread out at a time. You can only build one module, the lead magnet at a time. So something that could be something interesting to play around with is in those meditative states. A single insight comes in of I could go create this, leave the meditation and go create it. And then when you need another insight, come back and receive it.
yeah,
Because and that would be this one-to-one balance. And then you don't create this list that's like I could theoretically do all these things, but now it's like, oh, that's just way too much.
yeah, yeah. Or, yeah, I mean, yes, that definitely happens. That definitely, it becomes oh, crap, where am I going to find the time to do the XYZ? Whereas if it's kind of like I was talking about doing the final episode with Ashley yesterday. So it was a big day because I was creating all of the content that I needed to then be with her about on the podcast. And then we did the podcast, right? And so it's almost like it, and I made the mental decision when we decided to do this series together that I was going to do the creation of the content on the same day as we shot the stuff, which I knew was a stretch for me, but it felt like what you're talking about now, which is you get the insight, you do the thing, right?
Yeah.
So get the insight, come write it down, then sit down and start crafting the damn thread,
Hmm.
right? And then just let that be the thing. And if it goes next to, I mean, it's really easy to take a look at a thread and see how I'm going to turn it into a video, right?
Hmm.
So I feel like all of those pieces happen or can happen. And I don't really know what's stopping me other than the lack of the fire continuing, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, which is also kind of a projector thing. But if I'm having fun with it, then it doesn't really feel like work, right?
Hmm.
So That's the energy. The energy is, how can I be excited about it and have fun with it and play,
Mhm.
right? Rather than it being an assignment that I have to complete.
Yeah. And keeping it one by one, I think, is a big thing too. And this is where like even systems kind of go out the door. It's like if you're just tapped into the flow and you can create you're 100% autonomous with your time,
Yeah,
you're going to end up creating your own unique way of being and your unique way of working and systems and everything.
yeah. And
So
then,
the
yeah,
system may become just like, okay, I'm going to do whatever I do in the morning and then I'm just going to sit and wait for the right thing to come up in my mind. And it's like, oh, I want to write this post. Boom, write it.
yeah,
And you don't have to worry about, oh, am I going to hit my like one tweet a day? Am I going to be able to cross post it? It will naturally come out.
yeah.
And if it doesn't, then that's just that you're not, that's your way of being is different.
Well, and if it doesn't, like if my goals are, uh, manage my material life in the way I want to live it and help instigate this consciousness world change, then those are my two barometers, right? So if I'm doing what you're saying, if I'm letting it come and then doing the work of whatever it is and then just letting it be, I'll know whether or not I'm in alignment with what I need to be in alignment with, or if there's more I need to learn or do by the results that are going to show up in my
Mhm,
life, right? But I
mhm.
have to be in that place of, the results are going to happen or they're not going to happen, and it's okay, and I'm not attached to it. I'm still going to continue to do my work because this is what I know I'm here to do.
Yeah,
And if I get into a place where I'm like, well, I don't really know what to do next, I got
great.
10 different courses I can go into, and I can go, oh, well, maybe I'll try doing a membership or something, right? So,
Yeah, but even you can just wait for the next insight to naturally marinate in your head. Like actually, the periods of nothing are also just as valuable as the periods of insight and doing.
yeah,
And if
well,
you're
yeah,
living each moment filtered through the lens of, I'm here to raise collective consciousness, everything will naturally manifest. The tweets will manifest, the threads will manifest, the videos, the podcast, it'll all manifest one by one.
yeah.
There was one other thing that I wanted to touch on there. Let me see if I could find it. Yes, okay. This Scorpio full moon right now, I think is a potential paradigm shift for how you approach all of this.
Sorry, I'm going to turn off my mic while I choke.
Was that a sneeze or what was that? Wait, you're muted now.
Yeah, water went down the wrong pipe.
Oh, that's interesting timing based on like what was said. I think a major transition is underway, and this call is the fuel for that.
Okay, talk more about that.
You've had an idea of how to approach this game for the last year or however long you've been in it, and you've learned from all these different people. This full moon, both literally true how it's affecting your energy and just from a mental shift, is like it's time for you to start creating your own way completely sovereignly with no outside need for courses or anything. And you can, of course, go look at them when needed, right? Because you have access. But I think this shift is about you essentially reshaping how you approach this game and life.
So here's what's crazy. And, it's crazy is the way the rest of the world would say it. I don't think it's crazy at all. I think it's perfect. So what I wrote on my board today, that part of what I'm here to do is to help people go from survival to sovereignty. Right.
Mhm.
And so what you just said is like, I'm taking all these courses and doing all these things because I feel like it's kind of like dog paddling. like trying to keep my head above water while I figure all this stuff out.
Right.
And what you're saying is that this energy of the Scorpio full moon and everything that's been going on is a shift for me now into the sovereignty of just doing it,
Yeah.
right?
And it's
And
shifting into your power because
yeah,
like the root of the I need to take all the courses and be in all this, it's rooted in a subtle anxiety or fear.
yeah, of course.
Like
Yeah, of course it
what if
is.
I don't
Yeah.
absorb all the information?
Yeah, what if I can't pay my mortgage, right? And learning from Jack is how I'm supposed to learn how, make sure that I'm gonna, and yeah, exactly. I totally get all that chatter. Like, and another way I wrote this was from mediocre to majestic,
Hmm.
right? And so there's all of these levels to this that what I'm hearing you say is, you've got this, go do it.
Hmm. Yeah. And it's the masculine spirit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I mean, when I think majestic, I think, you know, like there's often, also queens and goddesses and all of that, but that even them, that power is that there's a masculinity behind that power. If you're powerful, you can be femininely powerful, but the power itself, the fire itself is that masculine energy, right?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
when I think of majesty, when I think of sovereignty, when I think of the other words I had were actualize, which I use a lot, abundant, confident, connected, self responsible, right? That's all structural masculine energy,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah. I think we should come full circle to the king energy, the king that
Mhm.
we talked about a few weeks ago.
Yeah, at the very
It's like,
beginning.
in which areas of your life can you step into more king energy?
Yeah, and that's actually a big part of what kind of came through for me in the meditation and is kind of up on the board. And that's really what I'm trying to help everybody do, right?
Hmm.
Is get out of the um, sort of mediocre, less than non-energy energy that the world asks us to be in, and step into our own authentic power, right?
Hmm.
That's that king energy. It's that authentic, confident, not cocky, but like it's all kings, royalty are also, hmm, well, from an archetypal point of view, wise, right? And
Hmm.
like King Solomon, right? So wise. And so it's also about trusting your own wisdom.
Hmm.
And that feels very on target for me for right now, like you're saying with this Scorpio moon happening. Yeah, it just feels like, okay, just give up any pretense that you don't know and go do it.
Hmm. I love it. So, okay. The insights don't, the insights mean nothing without a change in the actions.
Yes.
So, from now until Thursday, or from just now on today, from the end of this call, what aspects of your life maybe are you going to release and let go of, and which are you going to step deeper into?
So what I will let go of is indecisiveness, right? Because masculine energy is all about making a decision and doing it.
Cutting the sword.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So releasing indecisiveness and just embracing action.
Hmm. Look at this.
Command. Oh,
Leadership activation, time to evolve, trust in your ability to guide others.
yeah. Well, and that's what Neptune in Aries is for me,
Mm.
right?
Hmm.
Because my natal Neptune is Scorpio, and Neptune is the wisdom, is the dream, is the floating. right, is the airiness, but Scorpio is what lies beneath and the deeper. And Aries is, all right, let's put these two things together and go,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And I think even to deepen into this, like preparation is great, but you actually don't need to prepare. Like you can hop on a call with somebody on a whim, boom, and 100% you know you're embodied and you're embodied in your wisdom. You can help them. You don't need to spend a lot of time preparing.
That is definitely the next step I need to allow myself to get to. And
Yes.
there it is.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I've started to play
Like there's
with the
nowhere to get
idea.
to it. It's just it's there's nowhere to get to with that.
It's allowing it. Yeah,
It's
it's just
just
allowing it.
happening.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Like I started playing around with the idea of, human design and the gene keys are great, and they're both great sort of structures, but I got my own thing as well, right? I've got my
Hmm.
own ability to see the truth. So,
Hmm.
yeah,
Yes, exactly. They're just tools.
yeah.
All right, one maybe last question that's coming up. What fear do you have to let go of in order to be able to hop on a call with no preparation and completely feel embodied?
Oh, it's definitely a line one thing, which is that if I don't feel like that, so the fear that I need to let go of is the fear of not being the expert, right? It's not imposter syndrome at all. It's just not being the expert. But if what we're saying is it's my thing, then of
Hmm.
course I'm the expert, right?
Yeah, and you don't
And
even have to be the expert to help
yeah,
somebody.
yeah. Well, and it's like when I had that coffee with Danny Miranda, like he had sent me some stuff, and I just looked at some of his basic, human design and gene key stuff. And that wasn't even the point. It was like we spent 5 minutes on that, and then we spent an hour and a half just shooting the shit with each other, but the spiritual shit with each other, right?
Right.
And
This.
really just understanding each other and
Mhm.
just kind of being like in this love energy that he is, and that, this gentleness that I bring and all of that. So
Yeah, you guys would be a great podcast.
yeah, we would be. I need to get back out, reach back out to him. I think I keep telling myself, well, he's too busy with his book or whatever, but he's got some time.
I'm
So
sure he'd want to do it.
yeah. Yeah, but that's the whole thing. The thing is, like, maybe it's a glance at a few things to start with, right? Just to give myself a little bit of, oh, okay, here's just some basics about this person's energy that I don't even really have to dive into. And then boom, just riff. So
Yeah. Yeah. And then on the other side, you realize, oh, I knew this the whole time.
yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, it's kind of like you take just looking. Let's just take a look at your Vedic and your, so it's
Yeah, I don't
more
even know
af
what's
more,
gonna be there. I'm discovering it
yeah,
as I'm going too. And then I think for me too is like, oh fuck, if I'm like coaching somebody, I don't want to be asking ChatGPT, but fuck that. Like I can like let
yeah,
me just put my pride aside of like I
yeah.
need to know everything about astrology. Let's use it as a jumping off point to learn more.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and it becomes affirmational, right? It becomes like, oh, yeah, well, this just affirms what I already knew about you, right? That
Hmm.
this is the energetic conundrum that Dave is facing right now, right? And it's
Hmm.
just being uh, confirmed by the astrology.
Yes. And it's revealing maybe which energies are not in optimal alignment and how can we deepen into them.
Yeah.
So I think
Well,
two more
go ahead.
minutes and then I do have to go because
Yeah.
I'm gonna go play football. But give me a recap or a quick summary on how you feel you're gonna deepen into the fire.
Um, the most important thing is taking action. So deepening into the fire is, for me, going to look like taking an action, and that action could be a workout. It could be a walk over to radio and being with people. It could be once I get a download, sitting down and just putting together an outline for a thread that I'm then going to work on until I get it done. Right. So, like, one of the things that holds me back is if I can't sit down and complete the thread when I'm sitting there, then I feel like I haven't done what I need to do and I get more passive. And I heard you say the other day on the thing with Cole, you were like, I thought I was going to do this thread that I'm working on now about this idea and it was going to be done this week, but now I think I want to take it deeper. And I'm like, he spends a week writing a thread? That's amazing. I
Not
should do
always.
that. I know. I know you don't, but just the permission of it could take more time, right?
Right.
But but being in action,
Hmm.
and then the other thing is, like, I'm already building the podcast. I'm already, figuring out if do I want to do an episode 0 to sort of set it up and let everybody know what it's about, and you know, all of that kind of stuff. So
Hmm. Yeah, that's amazing. And one more little thing to add, I think, is taking action is also planning too. So I think waking up without a plan and getting yourself into action is great. But if you could even plan, like, okay, Tuesday mornings, I'm going to this workout at 8 a.m.
yeah,
And then boom, it's there. And now you're in that masculine energy from the
yeah,
kickstart
yeah, I get that. So it's about, I mean, like, all of those pieces are a decision, right? So it's the
decision.
decision to make the plan, and then
Yes.
you plan it, and then you do it,
Yes.
right? Yeah,
Yes. And that is also where the deepening of the true confidence and embodiment and power comes from. It's
yeah,
like, oh, it's 9 a.m. and I already lifted weights,
yeah.
whatever it
Well,
is that happens for you.
and I mean, when you really break it down to the very, 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 very basic of it, it's making the decision to show up and play the game of life, right? And
Mhm.
not be afraid that it's going to kill you,
Right,
right?
exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, this was pretty fun.
It was great.
Um,
I learned
I
about marketing.
yeah, I guess so. Not at all. I'm gonna stop this recording.
Okay.